G'day everyone, it's Andy, your yoga mate, and welcome to the Lesson 6 bonus recording of the RSL Active Veteran Yoga Project 6-part beginner course. So last week at the culmination of the flows where we brought everything in the in-person program together, I made a boo-boo, stuffed up and forgot to turn on my microphone, so the recording had no audio. So here I am today, I'm re-recording the flow, which is a 60-minute beginner level hatha yoga flow designed to bring everything that we learned in the previous 6 weeks all together into one session. I'll be queuing up some of the poses, and over the last few weeks you may have used one of the props to help you get into the pose, which we totally recommend doing. So props today will probably be the yoga blocks, and if you had any modifications, I'll cue them in, and then when we get to that section you will perform the modification and we'll meet in the pose to be able to move then forward. Now if you do get lost, as we spoke about in the last previous weeks, just pause and then reconnect with the breath and then meet up with us at the next pose. So it's all cool. We're going to take it slow. We're going to try and connect our breathing to the movements, as well as my disclaimer for we do not really promote pain. So if you're in pain, back off. So some discomfort in the stretch in a pose is fine, but no pain. So we want to reduce down the injuries, as well as using the props like I mentioned earlier. So today, let's kick off and start off on an easy seat. So I'm going to use my notes, and these notes here actually are something that I've uploaded to the online platform, and the in-person participants also received one of these. It's the yoga flow with all the cues, and you can access this and download it for your resources at any time. Okay, so let's take a seat, and you can choose to close down your eyes or take a soft gaze, whatever's more useful for you today, and we'll just connect to our breath. So in a seated pose, with your eyes closed or open, begin to center your mind with your breath. Bring awareness to your bones and the connection with the earth underneath you. Observe how firm and supporting it is as you connect your sit bones to the ground. And take several breaths as you feel this connection deepening and you feel yourself becoming stronger and more connected. Today's intent is setting a grounding or a grounding practice. The concept of grounding is often brought up in yoga around poses where we are rooting to the earth with our feet or sit bones, just like you're doing now in easy seat. It's a great practice for relieving anxiety and stress, and energetically grounding enables us to have a deeper connection with the earth and everything around us. So now, with me, we're going to start actively shaping our breath, starting off making sure that you can keep a soft gaze or with your eyes closed is raising your arms up, and we'll just be imagining the 3-part breath. So as we inhale, belly, side ribs, and then as we come up to the top and we look at our hands, the top of our chest, and let it go, hands down. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhale, belly, side ribs, upper chest, hold, 2, 3, and let go. Last time, inhale, midsection, ribs, upper chest, looking at the hands and letting go. So at the moment, we're not stretching too much, we're just starting to warm the body up and wake it up and connect the breath to the movement. Okay, from here we're going to be doing a side body stretch, starting off with the left side. So I'm not going to mirror you, I'll give the arm, so it might look a little bit different. So inhale to set, lengthen the spine, make sure the sit bones are on the ground. Exhale, place the left hand down, right hand up as we reach up for the ceiling. Looking at our thumbs and extending our fingers out. Take 2 breaths here. With me, inhale. Exhale as we lower the hand and raise the left hand and look up to our fingers and thumb. 2 breaths here. And now take your notice to the side body and see if you can feel come down, the side ribs expanding. We're going to do this 2 more times on each side. So set, inhale, exhale. Left hand plants, right hand reaches for the sky, keeping the left hand loose. 2 breaths here. 2, 1. As we exhale, hand down. Inhale as we plant the hand and then extend our left hand up towards the sky. 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Last one for the side body stretch. Inhale to set. Exhale as we lift the hand, plant the left hand down, looking up at the sky, feeling the side body stretch. 2 breaths here. 2, 1. Inhale, side body. It's at this stage now I invite you to see if you can engage your Ujjayi breath, which we covered in lesson 1, which is the ocean breath on the exhale. And it's fine if you don't at the moment, it's totally cool. We're still learning to connect our body to the breath. So last side, left hand side, inhale to set, sit bones on the ground, and exhale as we reach our hand up, taking our gaze towards the thumb, and feeling that side body stretch for 2, for 1, inhale and exhale, hands down. So as we're doing this, we're just taking it nice and slow, warming the body up, and we're going to be doing now our seated twist. So from here, left hand side, we're going to start off with hands to the front, set, inhale, as we look up to our hands and raise them up, and rotate around, planting our left hand by the back buttocks and then placing our right hand on the knee, and then keeping a straight back, looking to the left for 2 breaths here. Inhale, back to neutral. I'm going to put the timer on because I almost forgot that bit in my excitement. All right, here we go. All right, inhale, reach the hands up, look at the thumbs. Exhale as we rotate around, keeping a long spine, hand plants down, left hand comes over to the opposite knee, and if it serves you today, looking over the right shoulder. It's okay just to look to your right though as well. 2 breaths here. Last breath. Nice big belly breaths. Inhale. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times each side. With me, inhale, exhale. To the left, looking to the left, plant the hands, right hand hooks over the knee. 2 breaths. For 1. Inhale. Set. Back to center. Shake that out. on the right hand side now. Inhale, look to the thumbs. Exhale as we rotate, long spine. Left hand hooks over the knee and we look to the right or over the right shoulder, whichever's more useful for you today. For 2. For 1. Inhale to set and back to center. Loosen it off. We're still warming up. Inhale. Last time on the left hand side. Exhale as we rotate, long spine, plant the hand, left hand goes over the left knee, right hand goes over the left knee, looking to the left hand side, shoulders down. For 2. For 1. Inhale to set, back to neutral. Last side on the right, inhale, looking up at the thumbs, long spine. Exhale, left hand comes over right knee, right hand plants down by the right buttock, looking over the right hand side. For 2. For 1. Set. And that is our seated stretch. So now take a quick drink and we'll meet in tabletop on all fours. I'm going to start warming up the spine now, as we've learnt, with some cat-cows. We're going to take several of these. So facing the short edge of the mat, we're going to place our hands up, splay the hands directly underneath shoulders, shoulder width apart, knees shoulder width apart. You can also choose to place a cushion or a folded blanket underneath your knees if that's sore for your knees. And you can choose to tuck your toes or untuck them. Today I'm going to untuck them, and then our knees are underneath our hips. So that's setting, and let's just feel into that pose. So you can just wiggle around, stretch the hands. All right, so from here now, we're going to come back to stillness. We're going to set neutral head, so that's kind of looking just in front of your hands. Okay, neutral neck. And so we're going to inhale as we dip the belly and just let the breath lead our head forward. So we don't need to dump on our neck like this. We're just looking forward slightly a little bit more. All right, and exhaling, we're pulling our belly up towards our spine and rounding our back. Last thing to turn is our chin. Inhale, sticking our chest out like we're receiving a medal, looking forward, dipping the belly, and exhaling. All right, we're going to do 5 more of these in your own time. And it's at this time, I'm just going to invite you to just see and notice what you notice with your breath as we use it to inhale, dip our belly, exhale, rounding the back, warming up the spine. Last one with me. Inhale, dipping the belly, looking forward, chest sticks out like I'm receiving a medal, and exhaling, scooping our midsection, and tucking our head, rounding off our back, and come back to neutral. Excellent work there. So we've warmed up our spine a little bit more. We're going to start moving now towards our sun salutations and building a little bit more heat now we've warmed up our spine a little bit more. So from here, I'll cue you, and we're going to take up a step towards the front of the mat. And then this is the section as well where you may need some blocks or some modifications to the flow here. So I'm going to ask you to use your modification as we come down, which we will cue in a moment, and we will meet in downward dog. Okay? Fantastic work. So with the block in hand or not, I'll do the block for the second time around. We're going to do 3 of these. Yes, it was 3. Yes, 3 sun salutations. So feet width apart. Let's set up now for mountain pose. All right, feet hips width apart, and we lift our toes. We're going to ground. It's all about the grounding today, like our intent, and then place them back down. So we're going to lengthen our spine, imagining our feet, which is having the weight on all parts of the foot, spiking down into the ground. We're standing up tall like we're at attention, and we're dipping our chin slightly so that the crown of our head is facing the roof and the ceiling. Hands by the side, or you can choose to have them out with the palms facing the front, and it's okay to have them out here because we all have different anatomy and different mobility with our hands, all right, or with our joints, sorry. So from here, we're going to raise our hands. Inhale to set as we raise our hands however high you can at the moment, depending on your mobility, looking it up at your thumbs, right? And exhaling, you can take a bend in the knees, right? Use the blocks. We're going to rest our belly on the thighs for a forward fold. Head's the last thing to come down. And we're going to inhale now. We're going to come up to halfway lift, hands on our shins or thighs, whatever's more useful for you today, or even on the ground, but we're still warming up. We're going to exhale now, and then bend our knees again. Our hands are going to plant on the ground. You can take your modification here to come into plank pose. So left foot back, right foot back. You can choose to be on your knees if that's helpful for you at the moment in tabletop. And we're going to be taking our low push-up. So for the first instance here, we're going to inhale, shift our weight forward a little bit, and we're going to exhale. Knees, chest, chin, keeping our elbows in, untucking the toes, breathing in, and pulling our elbows towards the back of the room and looking forward. Baby cobra. Exhale, head back down, tuck your toes, inhale. As we push back on our hands, lift the knees up and come in to your first downward dog of the session. So we're going to just stay here for a couple of breaths, for 3 breaths, while you sort of slowly pedal out your feet. Now, as we discussed earlier on, we're pushing against our hands. We're taking a little bit of movement here and warming up the back of the calves and the feet and the toes, and then we're going to come into a bit of stillness. You can bend your knee, all right, bend your knees, that's cool, pushing against your hands, taking your gaze to your feet, and we're just going to take a breath here, and then inhale. As we slowly take several steps up, you can move your hands back however you modified it, and we can meet out with our hands by our feet, and inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, belly on chest, hands meet mat, and inhale as we stack up our spine, straightening back up, shoulders come in, raising the hands and hands together in what we call prayer, down to our level with our chest, and hands by the side. Fantastic. That was the first one. So we'll do 2 more of those, and then I will cue them as we go along. This time I'm going to do it with the block. So then that way, if you're using a block at home, we can see what it is like this. That block's great to be able to raise the floor so we can access the move. I'm a little bit dehydrated today. All right, so from here, hands by sides, mountain pose, feet shoulder width apart, lifting our toes, placing them back on the ground, setting up our grounding and solid pose, our solid base, hands by the side. Inhale to prep. So as we inhale, hands raise up, looking at our block, even putting your shoulders and putting it together. As we exhale, hinging from the hips, bending the knees as much as we need to rest the thighs on. Last bit to release is our head. That is our forward fold, and then we're going to inhale to halfway lift, pushing up against the block now, or hands on thighs, and we're going to go back to forward fold where our hands meet the mat. Now take your modification. We're going to go into plank pose. All right, left foot back, right foot back, into plank. This time around, I'm going to do right. So inhale to prep, and for this round, we're going to do knees, chest, chin. So lower, Knees, chest, chin, keeping the elbows by the side, untucking the toes, head down. Inhaling as we push up against our hands and imagine our elbows are reaching for the back of the room, and then our head will lift, right, without pushing it back too much and compressing our neck. And then exhaling as we lower the head again. As we inhale, we push against our hands, tuck our toes, push back, lift up our knees, and then come into downward dog. This is where we'll meet. Okay, a couple of breaths here, 3 breaths. You could still pedal out the feet a little bit more. Bend them if you want. We're pushing against our hands, so it's more about not the heels on the ground. It's pushing up against here and lengthening our spine. Okay, gaze towards our toes. Excellent work here. So we'll take 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to set. Inhale, bend our knees, and exhale as we take lots of little steps towards our hands, or we can move our hands back and meet our hands and knees. And inhale to come up to halfway lift. Exhaling down, tucking the head in, forward fold, and inhaling as we stack our vertebrae one at a time, hands to the side. Last time we can meet at our hands and then bring them down to our heart center. And fantastic work there, guys. That is our sun salutations. We're going to be now moving towards the next part, which is our standing balancing practices. All right, and I'll cue you through these again because we're going to be doing a little bit of balancing, and now this is where we get a solid foundation in our pose. Okay, fantastic work. So let's start off in mountain pose again. All right, so we're going to lift our feet up, bring them back down, hands by our sides, lengthening the spine and setting. So inhale, and we're going to exhale now as we push our butt back, tuck our pelvis, and we're going to raise our hands and look forward at our hands like we're sitting in a chair, hence chair pose. So from here, listen in. All right, so what we're going to be doing is going into tree pose. So we're going to inhale, left hand side, lift the leg up and rotate it around, your right leg, and rotate it. And you could place your hands on your hips if that helps you today, or keep them up depending on your shoulders, and rotating the knee around, and then facing the knee towards the long edge of the mat. Okay, so you can have you can have like a kickstand like I am here, or you could have it up. Okay, so from here we're going to be now transitioning into warrior one. So inhale, hands up. All right, balancing on that left foot and taking a step back where our feet are shoulder width apart, shorter stance here, and our back foot is 45 degrees, bending the front knee, making sure that our knee isn't coming past our toes, and we're standing up straight. So let's just take this slow now, and this is the base now for the warrior stance. So what we might be doing is we're aiming to rotate our hips so that it is, for the best part, facing the short edge of the mat. Okay, so that's it, nice solid base. So what we might do is actually imagine scissoring our legs in. So even though we're bending in, we're pushing this side of our pelvis forward, and then imagining the left hand side pulling back. So that is our warrior one. Inhale, exhale for 2, for 1, inhale, come back up to mountain pose. We'll be doing that now on the left hand side. I'm going to face the other side of the mat, so then that way the camera gets that side as well. So we're going to set now, mountain pose, inhale, set. So inhale, as we lean back like we're taking a seat, come into chair pose, look at your hands, or you can actually put your hands on your hips, whichever is more useful for you today. So from here, we're going to be shifting the weight to our right foot, coming up, and then rotating our left foot so that our knee is facing the long edge of the mat, and we are in tree pose with our balance. As we did in the previous lessons as well, you can, if choose to balance, you can rest your leg on any part of the leg, whichever is more useful for you today. And today, I'm going to take it nice and easy and come to the kickstand variant. So looking from here, we're going to transition into warrior pose again, coming through with the balance on the right leg. So inhale to prep, lengthen the spine, inhale again, lift it up and move our left leg back. Back leg is now 45 degrees. We're pushing on the back blade of the foot, bending the knee and having that look forward. We're going to square the shoulders off and put our hands on our hips. All right, so this now is our warrior pose, setting it up for 2 breaths. So with me, inhale, lift the hands, 2, 1, inhale, and come back to mountain pose. And we're jiggling it out, taking a quick drink if that serves you well, just like me today. Fantastic. So we're going to be doing this 2 more times. So now the right hand side again, and we'll be balancing on the left foot. All right, so from mountain pose, feet hip width apart, lift our toes up, set, mountain pose. Inhale, hands up, and exhale as we go down into our seat, looking at our hands or hands on hips. From here, place the weight on the left leg, inhale, as we rise up, and exhale, come into tree pose. So hands up if that works for you today. I'm keeping my hands on the mat, on my hips, with my knee facing out and in the balance pose. 2 breaths here. 1 more. Inhaling to set, and we're going to transition now as the right foot under control steps back, shoulder width apart, 45 degrees, and setting up for our base of warrior 1 pose. And it's really important, we can just take our time to have a look. All right, so is my back foot 45 degrees or thereabouts? Yes. Is it shoulder width apart? So I'm setting a good solid base and I feel like I'm balanced. Excellent. I can see my toes still, but my knees bent and my legs are active. So I'm just pushing against the front balls of my feet and then the back blade of my back foot. Now I'm just going to rotate my shoulders and then face them towards the front of the room. Now, please, if your hips feel like if it's in pain, shorten your stance until you can come, and it doesn't need to be facing exactly forwards. It's more your shoulders facing forward and the majority of your hips facing the short edge of the mat. Perfect. So from here we'll do 2 breaths. Inhale, hands up, looking up at the hands, grounding down into our feet. Imagine our feet spiking into the ground. Inhaling again as we grow a little bit more, reaching the hands forward, and exhale and ground our feet down. Right, equal weight on both feet. Last one now, coming out of it. Inhale as we come back to mountain pose. Perfect. So they're going to do this 1 more time on this side. On the left hand side now, balancing on the right leg. So come to the short edge of the mat again, jiggle it out, and we will set for this next side. So feet shoulder width apart, lift the toes, plant the feet, nice and grounded. Right, so it's like the roots of a tree. We're really setting a good base. So from here, inhale, raise the hands, looking up at the hands, and exhaling as we push our butt back towards the back of the room and come into chair pose, whichever variant works for you today. So inhale with taking the weight to the right foot as we raise up again, and exhale, hands onto hips, or leave them up, whichever you're doing today for you, and rotating our hips, and knee is facing the long edge of the mat. Great work, guys. All right, from here, we're going to be taking 2 breaths up. So let's stretch the branches of the tree. Inhale, looking up. For 2. For 1. Transitioning now to warrior 1. So inhale as we take the weight to the right foot and move the left foot back to 45 degrees, setting the base. So from here, guys, we're going to have a look at our legs. So our back leg, we've got micro bends in the knees, so I don't want you locking them out. Weights pushing on the back blade of the foot. We're looking up here, bending our knees, making sure it's not collapsing in, and we can see our toes. Perfect. Last bit here to set the maneuver is square the shoulders off to the short edge of the mat. Again, you can shorten your stance to make what feels most comfortable and useful for you today. Okay, from here, hands on hips. Inhale. We're going to grow, reach towards our hands, and then ground down through both feet. One more time. Inhale, and as we exhale, we're imagining, let's do it one more time. So we're going to imagine pushing into both feet and grounding down. So inhale, reaching up, and grounding down on both legs. All right, so from here, inhale, and step towards the short edge of the mat and shake it out. Fantastic work, guys. All right, so that's the standing and balance. We're moving now towards our warrior series, and we're going to be modifying this with each round. So we'll do 2 and then we'll add 1 to the second round. And for this, for the ease, so that you can see how I do it, I'll switch sides again. So then that way, when I'm in the warrior, you can see the camera from the front. So let's now just take the step towards the left-hand side, or to be your right-hand side of the mat. All right, so we're going to set here in mountain pose. We're going to inhale and exhale as we come double feet width apart, feet facing the long edge of the mat. And we've got a micro bend in the knees, so however feels most comfortable for you. All right, hands on hips. And we're going to start off with the left-hand side now. So we're going to inhale, we're going to grow up a little bit taller, right, like we're receiving a medal again. All right, the parade commander is coming past, and we're going to exhale as we turn the left foot and bend it so that it's facing, we can see our toes. We're going to now start pushing against the back blade of the back foot, and we're still facing the long edge of the mat. So from here, our hands on hips is inhale, hands up, wings are out. We're reaching for both sides of the room simultaneously while keeping a nice base. And warrior 2, we're looking over our fingers like we're in right dress. All right, so we're looking right in, we're reaching. So from here, we're going to take 2 breaths. Inhale, and we're pushing out on all 4 corners. We're grounding our feet down and we're pushing towards our fingers, imagining that, right, just lengthening. So we're lengthening in 4 different ways. Inhale, exhale, and then this one's a bit different. Inhale, we're going to flip it and go into reverse warrior. So reach forward, flip your hand, take the back hand like it's a teapot, and scoop it up, reaching our hand for the sky, and then looking and taking our gaze up towards our hand. See, and then so here, I think you should be feeling a little bit of a side stretch in the side body. And we're going to take 2 breaths here and see what you notice as our ribs come apart as we breathe in. For 2, for 1, inhaled, set, and coming back into warrior 2 for 1 breath. Inhale and stepping up towards the short edge of the mat. Fantastic work there, guys. So that's the maneuver of what we'll be doing. Reverse warrior 2 and reverse warrior. Coming to the other side now, we're doing the left-hand side. We're going to set, inhale, mountain pose, and exhale as we rotate our feet, and then come and face our toes towards the long edge of the mat again. Feet hips width apart, slight bend in the knees, nice and straight, hands on hips like we're at PT, waiting for the PTI to give directions for the session. Right, so now we're going to grow tall again. Inhale, stick the chest out, elbows are sort of facing out on the hips, and exhale as we rotate our knee or our toes towards the short edge of the mat, and we could bend our knee so we're not looking over, our knees not going past our toes, and we could look down here now and the black blade of our foot is facing the edge of the mat, and we've got even weight, nicely distributed, and we've still got our hands at our hips facing the short edge of the mat. So inhale to set, hands come up, right, we're going to go into right dress, and now we're looking over our fingers to the right hand side of the room, or to the right hand, to our right arm, right, and we're going to do 2 breaths here. Nice and solid, warrior 2. Inhale, for 2, for 1. So inhale now into reverse warrior transition. Inhale as we reach forward, flip our hand up, and teapot with the hand back, and scoop up, looking up at our fingers towards the roof, reverse warrior. 2 breaths here, notice the side body and what that does. Keeping a solid base. So from here, we're going to set now, come back to warrior 2. Inhale and exhale as our hands come back down to a T, making sure, right, that our shoulders don't creep up. So like I could feel mine then, so I just was mindful. I'm like, okay, now I can relax the shoulders a little bit. And as a T, inhale, step up, mountain pose. Fantastic work. We're going to do this same move one more time, and we're going to add to it afterwards. All right, so one more time each side. You can take a drink. All right, as with these sessions here as beginners, we want to make sure that we're feeling into the posture and attempting as best as we can to connect our breath to the movement. Okay, now warrior 2, left hand side. Let's set up. Inhale to set, exhale, rotating towards the long edge of the mat. Feet hips width apart, double hips width apart, slight bend in the knees, hands on hips like we're at PT. All right, waiting for the PTI. Inhale, set, let's grow a little bit taller, and exhale, rotating the left foot, bending that left knee so that it's not facing over the toes, and pushing equally on both legs, the back blade of the foot. So we're facing the long edge of the mat still. Inhale and exhale as we set our hands up to a T, and look and take our gaze over to our fingers, pushing, imagining that we're pushing equally towards reaching for the front and the back of the room, and we're now at right dress. Right, so inhale for 2, for 1. This one's different. Inhale, reach forward, scoop the hand back, the back hand goes to a teapot, and we're going to do a side body stretch with reverse warrior, looking up at our hands. All right, for 2 here. Solid base. For 1. Transitioning back now. Inhale. Hands come down, reaching front and back of the room, looking over our fingers. And inhale to set, and exhale, shaking it off. Fantastic work. Now it could be quite a fair bit of work on the shoulders as we're doing it, so make sure if you notice that they're starting to come up with the ears, just relax the shoulders a little bit more. Cool, let's do this now on the left hand side. Okay, setting our base as our grounding, lifting the toes up, feet shoulder width apart. All right, nice solid mountain pose. Inhale to set, grow taller. As we exhale, rotate, double feet width apart, bend in the knees, toes facing the long edge of the mat. Fantastic work. Finish it off like we're back at PT, waiting for the PTI to give some instructions. All right, so now we're going to be doing the right hand side. So inhale to set as we grow taller, and exhale, rotating that front foot and bending the knee as we have equal weight. Have a look down now and see where we are. Our body is facing the long edge of the mat, right? And you want to be comfortable, but you want to be pushing and grounding like the weight on both feet equally, hands on hips. All right, we're going to set now, come to airplane and hands in a T. So inhale, and as our hands come up in a T, reaching for both sides of the room and looking towards our fingers like we're at right dress. Perfect. Now just from here, when we do our 2 breaths, just see what you notice with your shoulders or where your legs are. Just see, am I grounded? Am I feeling grounded? Am I looking over my shoulders, right? And standing tall. So inhale for 2, for 1. Next one's different, to reverse warrior. Inhale, as we reach forward, scoop the hand, back hand goes to teapot, and reach forward, reach up towards the sky as we take our gaze to our fingertips. All right, 2 breaths here, side body stretch. Right, feel those legs. I'm feeling them today a little bit, but it's nice to be grounded. So inhale, set back now. Warrior 2, shake the shoulders out, look over the fingers, look again, and inhale to set, and step towards shoulder width apart, mountain pose. Fantastic. All right, so we're just going to loosen up a little bit more. I'll get me some more drink. Last thing you want is you guys seeing all the the dried mouth, and it's no good. All right, so let's now add to that, and we're going to be adding our triangle pose in there. I'll cue you in, and then you could also choose to use the block. So on the second round, I'll use the block for that one and cue you on that modification. So again, mountain pose to set. Exhale, right foot comes back as we turn towards the long edge of the mat, feet double width apart again, hands on hips like we're at PT. Fantastic work. Inhale, set, exhale as our left foot turns, bending the knee, keeping both weight evenly on our both feet, hands on hips facing the long edge of the mat. Facing the long edge of the mat. All right, let's now get the hands in, set, and as we lift them up to a T, reaching to the front and back of the room, and then lastly turning our head and then engaging our legs. So we're reaching. Right, 2 breaths here. For 2. For 1. This one's different, coming into reverse warrior. Inhale, backhand scoops to teapot, flip the hand, and as we exhale and reach up towards the sky with the side body stretch. Strong legs for 2 breaths here. Okay, we're going to come back now to warrior 2. Inhale and exhale as we come in here. All right, so listen in. This is where we do our triangle pose. All right, so from here we inhale to set, and as we exhale we start to reach forward, at the same time pushing on the ball of our feet and straightening the front leg, but making sure we don't lock it out. And then as we reach forward and can't go anymore, we're going to start rotating and reaching our hand towards our leg. So we could rest it on our leg here, and then we can have our hands on our hips like a teapot, and we could be looking to the front of the room. All right, so this is where it's balance and it's grounding, and we're imagining opening up the front body, okay? All right, so from here, or you can choose 2 breaths to lift the hand up if that serves you, and stack the shoulders up. So the shoulders are directly underneath, reaching for the sky. All right, so I'm going to come here with teapots, pardon me, and we're going to do 1 more breath. And then inhale to come up, reaching forward. Warrior 2. Fantastic work. Inhale and then coming to mountain pose. Fantastic work, guys. All right, now we're going to go to the other side and then do the left hand side. So we're going to do 2 rounds of this with the triangle pose added. So inhale to set, exhale as we turn, feet towards the long edge of the mat, slight bend in the knees, hands on hips, grow tall, waiting for the PTI. Inhale, exhale as we rotate our knee and toes to face the short edge of the mat, hands on hips. Inhale, setting our warrior 2 and looking over last, and warrior 2, equal weight on the front and the back leg. All right, so we're all active. So 2 breaths here. 1. Next one's different, reverse warrior. Inhale as we reach forward, scoop the hand, hands on hip, rear hand on hip, and we're going to move and reach towards the sky. Side body stretch, reverse warrior. For 2. For 1. Inhale. Come back to warrior 2. Loosen that shoulder a bit. I was up, like pulling that up towards my ear. So that's cool. From here, we're going to be now doing our triangle pose. Okay, inhale as we reach forward and start pushing on the ball of our feet to straighten the front leg, not locking out the knee. And then once we've straightened, we're going to rotate around and keep our hand on our hip, or you can raise it, but we're looking towards the side or the front of the room or the short edge of the mat. All right, imagining we're just peeling our chest open and then still presenting our chest like we're receiving a medal. Hands reaching down towards the ground or resting on our shin like this for a little bit of balance. So inhale again to set. Bending the knee again, looking over the front fingers, warrior 2. Inhale to set. Mountain pose. Fantastic work. I'm going to do the next one now with a block, so you see how that looks like as well. Okay. Last time on each side, this part of the work's nearly done. Let's make it a good one. All right, so let's set up, feet hip width apart, looking forward, mountain pose. All right, let's do it. Inhale, hands up, and exhale, hand on hip, and now you can hold the hand there. We're going to set now. Inhale and exhale as we bend our front knee and set up for warrior 2 stance. Body is facing the long edge of the mat. Inhale again, set, grow longer, grow the spine, equal weight facing on both feet, and as we lift our hands to a T and look our head over, and we could just be reaching towards the front and the back of the room with our hands, standing nice and straight. 2 breaths here. For 1. Inhale, reach forward, and exhale, hand teapots, reaching up towards the sky, and that's our reverse warrior. 2 breaths here. This one's different, transitioning back. Inhale, warrior 2. Inhale to set. Exhale as we reach forward, we're pushing against the balls of our foot, straightening the front leg, rotating around, and then placing the block on the ground. Hand can come up or on the thigh, on the teapot, and we're going to imagine peeling open our chest facing the front of the room. So let's take 3 breaths here. 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale, exhale. See, that's the thing about the balance. And we're going to in warrior 2. Inhale, mountain pose. Woo. Lucky I'd set the base then, had a little bit of the wobbles. It's all right to have the wobbles because that's teaching us that we've got good grounding as well as working on our balance. All right, so big skyscrapers and the trees, when there's lots of wind, they do wobble a bit, but it's that base that keeps them nice and grounded. All right, now, block in hand for the last side, last round of the standing series. Feet hip widths apart, lift up our toes, ground them back down. Imagine spiking our heels through the ground and growing a little bit taller with our crown facing, reaching up towards the sky. Inhale, exhale as we rotate. Feet double width apart again, toes facing the front of the room, to the long edge of the mat, sorry, and hands on hips, block in hand. All right, set. And exhale as we rotate that front foot, bend the knee so that it's not looking over, equal distance. That's our warrior two set. And then inhale, exhale. We're reaching for the front, lifting the hands. And then last thing is looking over our right to our fingertips, taking our gaze there. 2 breaths here. For 2. For 1. Last one. Reverse warrior. Inhale as we reach forward, scoop. Hand comes up, teapot. That's the rehand, sorry. As we reach up towards the sky, side body stretch, reverse warrior. 2 breaths here. And you should, be able to feel that your legs are also working while doing this. Inhale and exhale, warrior two. We're going to set again. Let's just jiggle it out. So then that way, it is quite taxing on the shoulders if we're still learning to be able to do this. So let's now move into triangle pose with the block. So inhale, reach forward as we're pushing against the toes, straightening the front leg, planting the block down and looking up towards the sky if that's in your practice, or it's absolutely okay. Which I'm going to do is put my hands on my hip and I'm just going to look to the front of the room today and imagining I'm peeling open my chest like I'm receiving a medal. All right, perfect. 2 breaths here. We're going to set now. Inhale. Hands out and finishing it off, warrior two. Hands at the back and front of the room. Inhale to set and mountain pose. Jiggle it out. Absolutely amazing work, team. That concludes the standing series and the warrior series of our flow today. So now we're going to be going down to the mat. Hey, finishing off on the mat. All right, so let's now make our way down. Oh, few creaks and cracks, that's okay. That's the body. And we're going to take our legs to the front of us. You can bring them together or have them apart, whatever is useful for you. All right, we can also use the blocks. We're going to come into Dandasana or staff pose. All right, so I'll use the blocks today just to give you guys an example. Actually, I'll do that on the second one. Okay, we're coming in to set our base for staff pose, and we're going to be coming into seated forward fold. So hands splayed by the side of our body, relaxed shoulders, excuse me, looking forward and pulling our toes or flexing our feet towards us. All right, this one here is now set staff pose, and as we exhale, we're going to hinge from our hips and we're going to run our hands along our legs and then rest them on our shins, our ankles or feet, depending on where you are in your flexibility today. It's all right, we'll do this a few times. All right, so and then last thing to do is to loosen the head right at the end once we've hinged. And what we're imagining from here, so you just take some breaths and connect to the breath, is we're imagining our belly is going to be going to our thighs, not reaching our head for our knees, right? We don't want to dump on our neck, right? And inhale, we back off a bit and exhale, reach that little bit more forward, right? We can also bend the knees as needed. That's absolutely fine. Or you could put a towel underneath there. We're going to do 2 breaths here. And we're going to do now, try and reach forward a little bit more. Inhale. And this time you might find the side of your foot or the top of your feet, whatever's in your practice today. Oh, that's full on for me, so I'm just going to back it off a little bit.
and then rest our hands, lowering my head. Alright, I'm going to take 3 breaths here. So with me for 3. And just notice where the air goes when you're folded like this. Where does it go? Is it in the upper part of your body? Is it in the side ribs? For 2. For 1. Inhale. And exhale as we run our hands back along the legs, back to staff pose. Let's do that now, one more time. Inhale, set in staff pose, pull the toes back, lengthen our spine, and hinging from the hips, we're reaching our hands up towards our feet, trying to imagine that our belly is going to be on our thighs. Last thing is the head releases, and we can rest our hands on the ankles, the thighs, the shins, the ankles, or the back of the feet. So inhale here, we back off a little bit, and exhale, maybe go to the same spot or slightly further. Remember, you can bend your knees, that's absolutely fine if that's in your practice and is more useful for you today. So inhale again, back off a little bit, and reach a little bit more. Ooh, I got the sides of my feet this time, and that feels a bit better than the first time. Right, we're pulling our toes back. That's the main thing, is just pulling our toes back towards us. And one more time, inhale, back off a little bit, and reaching forward. Same spot as me. I'm really happy with that today. It's feeling a nice stretch for me. And notice what you feel in your body. All right, so let's take 2 breaths here without trying to back off and release, and see where the breath and where the air goes. All right, for 2. For 1. This one's different. We're coming out of it. Inhale, set, and as we hinge up from the hips, looking forward. All right, perfect. Next move is our knees to head. So we're going to be in staff pose. All right, and we're going to start off with our bending our right leg. So we're going to set staff pose, and as we bring the bottom of our foot to the left thigh, and then bend the leg. So we can place it in whatever's most comfortable along the side of the leg. And if you need to have the block, that's also fine. I find that if it's angled like this, that's cool. All right, so what we're focusing on now is making sure that both of our sit bones are grounded, right? And we're setting a nice grounding practice, and then we're pulling our toes back, facing the front of the room. So for here today, if you've got the block, fantastic. If not, that's also cool. So now we just place our hands up, like we're in staff pose, to lengthen the spine. Inhale, and exhale as we reach forward again. All right, nice. And what we're trying to do is have equal shoulders that are reaching towards the front of the room without twisting. All right, let's do this now 2 more times, trying to reach further or the same spot each time. Back it off. Inhale, back it off. Reach forward, allowing the breath to guide you. 1 more time. Reaching forward, pulling the toes back. Inhale. Releasing. All right, inhale, and then taking the right leg forward. Let's do the left leg now as well. All right, so left leg, inhale to set, exhale. So with this, because it's the beginner's course, I do like to be able to set, so then that way when we move into the posture, we're taking our time with it. All right, so that's the whole thing, is setting and then doing some breaths inside the posture, as well as then taking the breath to come out of it. So now we're going to do head to knee. All right, so pulling the front toes back, inhaling to set, squaring the shoulders off towards the short edge of the mat. Inhale, long spine, and hinging from the hips, reaching forward. Last thing to release is the head, and we might take the gaze to our knee. All right, so just imagining again that our belly button is going to be resting on our thigh. All right, so that's cool. All right, 2 breaths here. Try and reach a little bit forward each time. Back it off. Reach forward. 1 more time. Back it off. Reach forward. Fantastic. Let's do a breath here just to see what it's like and where the air goes. Coming out of it now to set. And releasing and putting the foot to the front. Perfect. All right, so let's now do our supine twists. So you can find your way to your back, whatever's the most comfortable way to get there. And what we're going to be doing now is some supine twists where we can stretch our lower spine. All right, so I just move the blocks out of the way. Okay, from here, you can bring your legs in as close or as far as what's most comfortable. Make sure that they're hip widths apart again, right? Placing the hands flat and then just feeling your back, right? And shoulder blades grounding down on the mat. All right, we're going to take our knees to the right first. We're going to inhale and let our legs fall to the right, keeping the shoulder back so that, you know, our feet don't actually need to reach the ground. And if it is more useful for you today, you can also use a block to support. All right, we're going to take 2 breaths here. For 2, for 1. Inhale, and we're going to exhale and go all the way to the other side now. Ooh, I better shift over or I'll hit the couch. Knee comes over, right? And we're stretching the spine, we're twisting and then loosening up that lower back. 2 breaths here. One more time. Inhale as we exhale and take our knees over to the right hand side for the last time, where we take 2 breaths now. For 2. For 1. Inhale. And as we exhale, taking the knees to the left for the last time. Inhale for 2. For 1. And then coming back to neutral. Inhale, set. Coming up to neutral. Fantastic. The last one now. Oh, actually, there's a couple more moves. Right, we're going to take recline pigeon, and if this works for you, right, we're going to be stretching our IT band. So from here, it's going to be our left leg first. So we're going to set, breathe in, breathe out as we lift our left foot and then bring it over our right knee and exhale with our left hand, pushing on the knee, and then we should aim to see if you notice a stretch in the side thigh. Okay, this one's for you, or you can just back it off if it's too much. All right, we're going to take 2 breaths here. For 2. For 1. And back down. Fantastic work. We're going to do the left side, or the right side now, sorry, my other left. So inhale, lift the leg, exhale as we bring the foot over the knee, but not on the knee, and hand comes down and pushes that knee away from the from the thigh, right? Make it nice and easy from that thigh, keeping the shoulders on the ground and seeing if you can notice a stretch in the side leg. All right, let's take 2 breaths here. So this is called recline pigeon, or if you're working out, it's like a figure 4 stretch, and it's great for that IT band on the side leg. Inhale. Right, the IT band is part of what we're calling with the no, sorry, I've had a mental blank. With our psoas muscle. All right. Okay. Fantastic work. Now we're going to be, just if you take your leg, actually, we'll go into legs up the wall from here before we go into final resting pose. All right. So from here, we're going to go into legs up the wall pose. Or alternatively, if it's more suitable for you today, is to find a wall and then you can put your legs up. But I'll cue you without this. You can also use a strap if that's more useful for you today as well, which I don't have here at the moment, but you could hook it on. So from here, inhale to set. Exhale as we lift our first leg up, our left leg, and then pull our toes back towards us. You can also bend your knees. All right, hinging from the hips. All right, and inhale. Right legs from here. Now, to note, this might be a bit much on the lower back, so you can also, I'm going to put my legs down and grab a block, and then use the block and place it in your lower back to give you some support as we do our legs up the wall, if that's a little bit more useful for you today. Hands flat, so it gives us a little bit of a base, and we're pulling our pulling our toes back towards us. All right, so a couple of different options. We're going to take 2 breaths here. And we're going to inhale, exhale as we bring our legs down under control, lift up and pull the block down if we were using the block. And we're going to come now into final resting pose or corpse pose, or in yoga and Sanskrit, it's called Shavasana, which is probably the one that sounds the most best for me, so I'll use Shavasana. Corpse pose is a little bit, resting pose as well. Sometimes people don't find this quite restful, so we'll go with Shavasana. So let's now take our legs to the front. Right, all the work's been done, so you can congratulate yourself on that. Right, let your feet fall where they may. Let's adjust the shoulders, bring the hands out. They can be overhead, they can be by the side. It's fine, or you can put your hands on your belly or one up and above, whatever works for you and is most useful. Now from here, what I invite you to do is close down your eyes or take a soft gaze. I'm going to close down my eyes, but from here I'm going to actually, while you're doing that, we're going to go into this. Usually you might hold it for a few more minutes, but today we're just going to do it for 2 minutes while I read the rest of this. So no shaping of the breath now, and take your focus to my voice as we come into this last bit of meditation and grounding. Take a sip of water too. Nothing can last when the foundation is weak. Neither a home nor a relationship can last without a solid foundation. Being grounded also means feeling safe, secure, and guided. It helps us to be present in our bodies so that we can feel more secure in the world. As we build a firm foundation with our bodies, we can reflect on the foundation we build in our personal lives as well. Great towers require a firm foundation, so before we look up towards our goals, our vision must begin with the roots we plant. A tree must have firm roots to stay tall. So now I invite you to come back into your body by wiggling your fingers and your toes, taking a deep belly breath with me, releasing. All right, keeping your eyes closed. You might roll on to your preferred side, and we'll meet in an easy seated position. And we'll meet here in a sec. So take your time and we'll meet here. So lastly, we're going to do 3 rounds of alternate breath. And so what it is making sure we can grab our 2 fingers like this, or even you can just use your fingers to block your nostrils. We're going to be breathing in through the left to start off with, block the left, breathing out through the right, holding, breathing in through the right, blocking the nose, and then breathing out through the left. That is 1 round. Okay, so we'll do 3 rounds and then we'll close off the session. So with me, inhale to set, thumb and forefingers in between the eyebrows, and we can use our thumb and ring finger, blocking the right nostril. Inhale, block nostril. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, block that nostril, open the other one, and exhale through the left. That's 3. Inhale, switch, exhale, inhale, switch nostrils, exhale, that's 2. Last one, inhaling through the left. Nice big long one, sitting up tall, switch, and relaxing down as we let all the air out. Last time. As we grow tall, switch nostrils and release through the left. Hands come down. Alrighty guys, so from here, take your hands to prayer, bring them up, bring your hands towards in between your eyebrows. May we honour what we're thinking. Bring your thumbs to lips. May we honour what we say internally and externally. Bring our hands to our heart center. May we honour what's in our hearts. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice today. Thank you for the time, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to be with you and show you the beginner course over the last few weeks. Namaste. Alrighty guys, so I'll be uploading this flow. Well done, you've just completed your 60-minute flow. I'll be uploading it to the online platform as I mentioned earlier on, and if you've not joined the group yet, please join our Facebook group, and if you have any insights or questions from the course, you can ask them there or email directly to me. You can also request if there's any flows or anything that you work on from there. And from here, I'll be aiming to upload regularly a flow, as well as in 2024 to do some more beginner courses, as well as regular online and in-person courses. So thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the RSL Active program, and I'll see you on the mat.